Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 115 of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League show and podcast. I'm your host, the self-proclaimed FPL guru. Big stress on the self-proclaimed FPL guru, Alex Rex. And joining me today on his lonesome is one of my usual suspects, Barry Stokes. Barry, where in the world are you today?
Well, I was on my way home and I got stuck in traffic and thought, I can't miss the pod, can I? You can't be on your lonesome. So I thought, right, I'll pull in. I'm actually in a pub car park, so unfortunately I'm not having a swift one because I think I need a strong one after my couple of weeks performances. But hey, it goes on, mate.
I think you and me both, mate. I've dropped like a stone in the league after a great start, first 4 weeks. But enough about talking about that. We could all have those conversations. But yeah, everyone can have a moan from now and again. But the man who should be here is Scott Williams, the real guru making his way right up the league. So, but we'll touch on that in a minute. Thank you everyone for joining us this week. Don't forget to follow us on our social media platforms: Allfootball Pod, All4P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And then also don't forget to like the YouTube video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give us 5 stars where you get your podcast from, and also click the little bell icon, especially on Spotify, where most of our listeners come from on podcast. And yeah, you get a notification when this goes live. Let's get started straight away, and let's talk about Manager of the Week. Well done, Cully. If you are listening, 96 points. You took a -4, but you were still the best, even if you had 92 net. I'll touch on the guy who's got 91 beneath you, but 96 points this week. Apparently, Cully could see into the future. Sells in goal, Gusto Gabriel Lewis, all blanked, so his defence was terrible. Salah, Palmer captain for 50 points. Well done, Cully. Jota, Rogers, Bruno Fernandes, big for a Liverpool fan, with a -2, which is a joke. We'll talk about that in a minute. Havertz and Watkins. So well done to you, Cully, for being manager of the
Who,
week.
who,
Got to
who's
touch.
on the bench?
Oh, I'll tell you. Oh God, he's done that thing where it's dropped down on the top of here, mate. Give me 1 second, I'll click back on it because I've clicked the link above. Here we go. Who did he have on the bench? He had Ben White, Twanzebe, and Jebison, all for no points with Turner. So no points on his bench at all. In fact, he benched Rico Lewis and started Ben White, but Ben White obviously didn't play. So Lewis came on for those 2 extra points. The man who was second this week was a man who, by his own admission, lost interest. Former podcast member Tom Hughes. Here he is. Since Leeds went down into the Championship, which is one of the reasons he didn't do the podcast anymore, because he really doesn't pay that much attention to FPL, because he's a Leeds season ticket holder, if no one guessed from listening to it in previous years. Yeah, he doesn't pay too much attention. 91 points. Are you ready to see this team, by the way, Baz?
I am. I had a quick glance there and I was like, wow, still someone
Uh,
has lost interest.
so, Areola, then he had Porro, Howard, Bellison, Davison, Anderson, so a back four. And obviously Porro 5, Bellis 7, Anderson 8. So good start. His midfield is Palmer, Salah, Madueke, and Kobe Mainu. Now he captained Salah. So if you'd have captained Paul Palmer, he'd have got 15 extra points and got 106, which is just madness. Watkins and Jackson up top. A bench of Turner, Erdegaard, Isak, and Vestergaard. All of them are either injured or no, they are injured, aren't they? All of them are.
Yeah.
He actually started Turner and Areola came on for him. He started Erdegaard and started Isak, but Anderson and Mainu came on off the bench for him with his auto subs. So, Tom, you need to start paying attention, lad. You're not doing too bad this year. And that midfield of Palmer, Salah, Madueke is not too bad. Watkins and Jackson as well. It's all right. Rest of it could do with a bit of work, but well done to you, Tom. Got to do as well. Bit more admin, bit more league admin. Manager of the month for September has been crowned. And congratulations, Ahmad Fahim, Dream 11, 226 points for the month of September. Congratulations to you, Ahmad. Ryan Walker, however you say that, is 217 points. So well done to you, Ryan. And please correct me, send me a DM. Tell me exactly how to pronounce your surname because hopefully you're up there a few more times the rest of this year. Um, Munashi Doke or Doka or Doke or Do 211 points. Well done to you, Munashi. And then we've got all the great names for me to try and pronounce at the top of this one, by the way. Raquel Leo Gawanab with 203 points, and Turian Selaire, I think that's Selaire with 202. Sandeep Punjan, know you pretty well, mate. Known you since I was born, basically. 200 points. Stephen Sunday, Mushawa Ahmadi. Then we've got Heather Howcroft. Well done to you, Heather, as well. Friend of the podcast, of course. And Sam Kamomini, who's top of our league, with in rounding out the top 10. So well done to you guys. Ahmad Vahim, you join Charles Takaveda to start off with our managers of the month. Sam Camoni still top of the league, 15 points clear of Sam Danby Bailey. Mark Anderson in third, Scott Williams up to fourth, and Dennis Bjork in fifth. So nice and tight at the top. Very exciting. And well done to everyone up there who's actually doing well. Before we move on to fixtures, can I have a quick moan about Cole Palmer, Baz?
Of course you can.
So, I'm sick of people on Twitter. I'm sick of people saying, "Oh, Palmer, it was obvious. How did we not have put Palmer in our teams? Oh, and everyone who's got him captain, or 3,000 and whatever of you had him triple captain, banging on about how obvious it was that Palmer should have been the man that we picked and captain for the week." He was never on my radar remotely as a transfer in with a when doing a wild card in game week 8. Um, but he was also never definitely on my radar for a captaincy. Was he on yours at any point, Barry, throughout the week? Did you ever at any point go, Palmer's an option?
No, I obviously took a minus and got Saka in because I thought he's got good fixtures coming up. Whereas Farmers obviously got Brighton, and I thought Brighton, that unpredictable team where you don't know what's going to happen with him, and then people that obviously did, like Cully, for example, can see into the future apart from his Bruno mistake, but we'll touch upon that as you mentioned. So yeah, so for me, he was nowhere near my radar at all, and obviously I couldn't afford him anyway. So
So let's talk about the positives of Palmer. Probably one of the best players in the league. Definitely the best number 10 at the moment in the league. I think you've got your arguments between your Sakas, your Salas, your Haalands, and this, that, and the other. But he's definitely the best player in that position at the moment in the league. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Top scorer, obviously, last season in FPL as well. Chelsea scored 11 goals so far this season before the last game week. This is all before the Brighton game. They scored 11 goals so far in the league, and Palmer have been involved in 6 of them. 2 goals so far this season and 4 assists. Um, so you can see they were the second highest scorers. They got an XG of 7.93, which I think was eighth in the league beforehand. So they weren't looking like a ridiculously high scoring team, but obviously 2 goals a game on average, not too bad so far. Um, Brighton. Now, the argument I've heard, Brighton apparently it was obvious. Look at their high line. Look how bad they are defensively. Look at the way Hertzler plays football. Well, let's have a look at their expected goals conceded
they only
in
considered about two before that game or something.
the last game. Uh, they'd conceded their expected goals conceded was 5.7, and their actual goals conceded was 4. Miss 4? Yeah, 4. I don't. They'd get 2 clean sheets. They had, and this is an XG. They were eighth in the league before the game. It's just a nonsense. Captain Hindsight's out there. All put yourselves back in your boxes. Like, don't get me wrong. I look at Cole Palmer and the numbers that he was delivering before this game. He was fourth equal with Gabriel, only 1 point ahead of Nick Jackson so far, and for FPL. That's the season so far. So he was not doing too bad. But in terms of XG, he didn't even make the top 20 in terms of numbers. His XG was 1.27 before this game. And expected assists, he got 4, but his expected assists were 1.07, which puts him 16th in the league. So everyone just calm down a bit. Don't get me wrong. Quality player can get returns at any point, but 4. And he's the first player ever to score 4 goals in the first half of a football match in the Premier League history. Like, it's an anomaly. Don't beat
Who's
yourselves up.
and he joins a list of the only other Chelsea player to score four in a game is
Oh, that's a good one. Who was supposed to scored 4 in a game? Lampard, Drogba,
Lampard.
Lampard. Yeah. Um, Bolton was it in a
I
six one?
don't
I
know. I
think.
just seen the stat, but I didn't see who it was against. So like, I thought, oh, yeah.
I love my football trivia, as everyone knows from the ones we did these quizzes during during COVID. Absolutely love that sort of stuff. Me and Scott were tag teaming those. We absolutely adored it. So Palmer, calm down. Bruno Fernandes. Um, Baz, I'm gonna ask you a really honest question here. I want the the answer from a man who you support a team in a league that doesn't have VAR. What is the point of VAR if we're then going to go and start overturning red card decisions like this after? Should we even bother with it? It's, yeah, over to you.
It's one of them where they're saying it's about the ref decision on penalties. So why aren't they saying with the ref's decision on that? I'm sure the ref gave a yellow card and then they've overturned it and says, look, he's kicked him above the shin pad on his knee. Should be a red card because it's technically violent conduct. But I think he's just slipped and he's obviously got up, but he's a bit frustrated. He slipped and just kicked out to stop the player advancing. And unfortunately for Bruno, it was above the shin pad, so it looked a bit more reckless than it was. But it wasn't malicious or intent was there to literally injure Madison. But I don't know, you could say, well, it's the law and all this, but for me, it's a yellow card all day long. And I think VAR sometimes overthinks a lot of things. It hasn't happened a lot this season, to be honest, compared to obviously previous seasons. But I think they obviously got that one, and as it's been overturned anyway, so he can play again anyway. So
Well,
yeah,
well,
it proves that they've made an
the,
error.
re- the ref gave a straight red on the
Did
pitch.
he? Oh right,
Yeah,
I
ref
thought
gave no ref gave a straight red, and then VAR didn't overturn it. And then we've gone to retrospective and then they've overturned it. This is my problem with it. So don't get me wrong, I'm watching the game and I see the tackle, and obviously I'm a United fan, so I'm like, how has he been sent off for that? But I do understand why he got sent off because it was high, so I get it. And he was never trying to play the ball; he was deliberately tripping the guy. I get it, right? I also get why they haven't overturned it. I don't agree with the decision, but I do get why they wouldn't overturn it. But then they're retrospectively taking overturning it. So why would they not overturn it on the pitch? The whole thing of I completely agree with Scott on this, and he put it the best I've heard someone say it, right? We should never ever have to worry about retrospective action ever again with VAR being in place. We shouldn't, because that's what it's there for, to overturn obvious errors. And the panel have deemed that an obvious error, but VAR didn't at the time. And don't get me wrong, we were terrible and in the first half, and we didn't deserve anything more than what we got in the game, and whatever to this Ten Hag situation of being backed. I mean, all he had to do was show some sort of improvement this season so far. Something, just something. I'm not in. I wasn't even interested in um like trying to see us challenge at the top of the league. Let's not be stupid about things. Like that would be a big step. But he's got no injury complaints now. None. He's got five transfer windows. He spent 600 million quid, and you have your first choice back four, barring maybe Luke Shaw as an argument, maybe Lenny Yoro again as an argument, but whatever. Like, how are you still this bad in big games and at home? I think that was the other thing. We've played Liverpool and we've played Spurs at Old Trafford this season, and we've just been a joke in both games. And I just don't want us to be a joke. Like, but I don't think I'm asking too much, Baz. I just wanted us to look probably so. If we'd have lot beat 1-0 in both games and look relatively solid, and we'd just been done by a worldie or some good play by Salah or like things, life happens. But how are we still? I'm asking too much.
Yeah, because your manager's useless, to be honest. He's been in charge what 2 seasons now, is it nearly or something like that?
Yeah, he's had two full seasons his third year, two full
Yeah,
seasons.
And I still don't know what type of football is he playing. Is he playing tiki-taka? Is he playing obviously Genie Press or what? I honestly do not know. Obviously Van der Ven's just kind of waltzed through the midfield. Rashford should have took him down and took a yellow card. I, I just don't know. I think the players look confused. But yeah, it's
Do you know what?
shambles and
Do you know what that goal showed me? That goal, right? So I think fair enough. If you want Rashford to take him out, but you shouldn't have to on basically on the edge of the final third. I mean, I do get it. He ran past him. He was never winning the ball. Like, read the game, mate. But he didn't read the game. It showed me as well that Ugarte had no idea about the players he was playing against because Mickey van der Ven is famously one of the fastest players in the Premier League. So he didn't move across to him at all. Then Kobe Mainoo's doing his job. Mazraoui's marking the guy on the side. Delit's left a gap wider than, I don't know, the size of Monaco between him and Mazraoui. It's mental how big that gap is. He's just gone, yeah, run into that. Again, no research done on the team, obviously, there to see this guy. So he's left a massive gap. Then Dallo is 2 yards behind Brennan Johnson on the far side of the pitch. I'm sorry. You and I have played football. You've played it to a higher level than me, right? You just get goal side, don't you? Brennan
at
Johnson's
least
not running.
at least
Just get.
at least track your runner and be a presence. Even if that player's faster than you still got to make a conscious effort to get back. And it just looked like he was strolling, going through motions like, I'm going to get paid either way. Don't matter if my clean sheet bonus has gone now. Well, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to
I
get
think
my so much a week.
that's the frightening thing because Dallas probably am one of our most committed players,
Yeah.
and he didn't even try to get goal side of Johnson.
Yeah. And,
So
and Garnacho looked really bad as well, to be honest. I think
yeah,
it,
yeah.
there's bad eggs in there and it needs sorting and the rumours that Roy Keane's going to come back in and start shouting at him and things like that.
Oh,
That is not going to help.
no,
They'll just go in the
whatever.
shell even worse. But
But
yeah, shall we
that's
shall we
what
move on from Man United, Jack? Because I know you're very
I
adamant on Man United and you want them to succeed and it's not going to happen under Ten Hag, unfortunately.
no, and I just want a team to. You'd love a manager to turn something around for any team at any point, but unfortunately, the writing's on the wall for this, and we've seen it 1,000 times, and they never turn it around. Really, I mean, maybe Arteta is the example that breaks the rule. Is that right? That's definitely not the turn of phrase, but
Yeah, but I
when
know what you
if
mean.
Arteta had lost that game, we all saw it on the Amazon Prime documentary. The all or nothing. He played Burnley and Norwich back to back after he lost the first 3 games of the season. If he'd have lost, and he beat those teams, scraped by them both 1-0 wins. If he'd have lost those games, he'd have been sacked.
I think
Almost
if
certainly.
he'd drawn one of them games as well, I think you expected to beat them 2-0 plus.
Yeah. And they scraped him, kept him in a job, had an international break, came back, and then he's done brilliantly ever since. And those two, yeah, the beginning of that season, Arsenal were a joke team. For 5 games, they were a joke team, and the fans had turned on them. So it can happen, but it's so rare. But anyway, let's see what happens. And sorry, Baz, but it's topical. Man United at the moment after that, and it's by podcast. I want to moan
It's,
about
it's
them.
not
So I'm
topical,
gonna,
mate. It's not
so
topical,
I'm
mate. It's
gonna.
comical. That's what it
It's
is.
got. It's both. Both. Leave me alone. Right. Anyway, so yes. I try to skirt over that stuff as much as I can do, but you know what? I do a pod every week, and I
That's
wanna, I want to have a moan.
plus that's
But
one reason why he didn't want Guy Ferguson to come on as well because he's a big Spurs fan.
literally, that's the reason. Thanks, Guy. Congratulations, and don't worry though. Uh, Ten Hag's won 8 trophies in 6 years, and he's now saying what Postacoglu was. Come May, I'll have won a trophy. That's what he's saying. So
That's
me
a
and you, Guy, I'm shouting out right now. Both of us apparently are winning a trophy this year. If both of us win a trophy, I think it's almost worth me making some sort of outlandish promise here, but I'm not going to do that. You're definitely coming on the end of season pod if we both win a trophy, guaranteed, Guy, guaranteed.
I think the only trophy that Eric Ten Hag's going to win is the sack race.
I mean, let's be honest, he's won a trophy in both seasons. Spurs haven't won a trophy for 16 years. So anyway, you're right, Baz. You're right. Let's move on. We haven't got that much to cover this week, really, because we're going to talk about two teams here that we haven't really talked about that much at all. And it's Ipswich and Leicester. Now, the next four fixtures for these guys, they do play each other in the fourth of these fixtures, by the way. But we've got Ipswich, we've got West Ham away, Everton at home, Brentford away, and then Leicester at home. Leicester have got Bournemouth at home, Southampton away, Forest at home, Ipswich away. Arguably, along with Man City, they've got the best runs of fixtures coming up. So, Barry, I want to ask you to start off with, have you what do you think about Leicester? Let's do Leicester first. And which players from that side have really stood out to you?
Leicester, they're getting a lot of stick with Cooper, and they don't like obviously how he plays. But as I said, when he was at Forest and when he was at Swansea, he knows how to win games and he knows how to get the best out of his players. And he's starting to kind of build an ethos there where it's not attractive football, don't get me wrong, but he's going to pick up results. And I think that's what Leicester need to try and stay in the division. It's a bit like Ipswich, who've gone four unbeaten. Yes, they haven't won, but they've got four draws. And obviously, it builds confidence that they're not getting spanked every week. So Leicester are quite reliant on Scott's draft player, Mavavidi, quite a lot.
Mavididi.
Mavididi. So they relying on him quite a lot because he gets them out of trouble and he scores quite a few goals for him, and he's always thereabouts on the assist or goals. And Vardy as well. Up front is obviously keeping out Edward, who went on loan. So I think them two are very key defensively wise. Still wouldn't obviously get invest in it, but they've got 4 million defenders there. Obviously, what Far Fars is now 4.1. Obviously, Okoli now is starting because Vestergaard's out, so he's 4 million. So you've got a potential rotation with your 4 million defenders. So there's that, and I think you could argue Bonotti as well, but he's been in and out of the team. It's great loan signing. But for me, I think the main two, Mavididi and Vardy.
I'd agree on Mavididi because I think Cooper's realised as well. He didn't start him in the first three games, and then he started him in the last three. And he's scored in against Palace and also scored against Everton. Didn't get any returns against Arsenal, but let's quickly touch on this, by the way. If I hear one more Arsenal player moan about the fact that they've got a player sent off for kicking the ball away, like both times, totally justified red cards. It's the way it is. Fact. Football rules are both our red cards. Fact. Then they're so lucky Calafiore didn't get sent off. Very, very lucky because he should
Mm.
have been second yellowed. I don't think there's any doubt about that whatsoever. And then also for their first goal, it's a blatant foul on Vardy, the way he gets pulled back. And again, they're lucky that that's not been overturned. And I get because of the bar and this, that, and the other. But Arsenal, you've got away with a few this year already. And also you're performing exceptionally well. You can absolutely battered Leicester and fully deserve to win the game in the end. But stop moaning. You're doing well. Like the world's against you because Doku moved the ball away. Like it's just anyway. But there you go. Yeah, totally agree. And do you disagree with any of that, Baz? By the way, I've kind of carried on
No, no,
talking.
no, no.
I'm on one today. I'm
You
sorry.
you are, mate. You got it on.
I'm I'm having a bit of a moan. Um, yeah, Mavididi for me, for example, he's 5.3 mil, so he's already gone down point 0.2. I think he probably be a very good fifth midfielder at this very moment in time. Absolutely. And also, if you're playing the draft version of the game of FPL, he for me is somebody who should definitely be on your radar for bringing in draft. I think he'd be a fantastic draft player, actually, especially if you're in like a 10-man league and Leicester midfielders are probably going to be available. And agreed on Vardy as well. He's starting every single game. He scored a couple of goals this year already. Yeah, I think he's obviously starting forward and seems to be doing really well. James Justin, I've got a real soft spot for, and I've got a soft spot for him for two reasons. Last time he was in the Prem and I was playing FPL, he was a fantastic asset, and I really liked him to have in my team. And he was 4 or 4.5 then as well. And then also, he loves FPL. He's one of the best FPL managers who's an actual Premier League footballer. So he's just a little soft spot for me.
I think he
And
benched
what a
himself, didn't he, as well?
and he did, yeah, he benched himself and he scored twice. What a
I'm
goal that
sure he
second one is.
captained an Arsenal player as well, didn't he?
Oh dear, I can't remember. Did he captain an Arsenal? But I don't know about
I
that.
think he did. I
I'll
don't
have to have a
know.
look.
Yeah.
But
But
yes, so two goals.
yeah,
I think he's a good rotation defender. I think you're going to do a piece on that next week, aren't you, Baz, or the week after before the wild when we're talking about wild cards.
yeah,
But I think he's a good rotation defender. And yeah, totally agree. That fast 4.1 mil seems nailed in the team. I think he's played 90 minutes every week, hasn't he? Yeah, 90 minutes every week. He has scored one goal. Yeah, I think if you're looking at a 4.1 million defender to have on your bench and rely on every single week, he's doing well. And let's be honest, Hermanson had a fantastic game against Arsenal. Did so
yeah,
well, didn't he? 13 saves. Is that right?
yeah.
13 saves, yeah. I mean, that's unreal. And you can see as well, he's averaging 5, 4, 3, 2, and 4. He's getting a save point every game except for that 2-2 draw with Palace. So, is he somebody to have as a rotation keeper? I mean, I don't think they've kept a clean sheet yet this year, but
Well,
still,
I did a stat pre-season, and I said Bournemouth and Leicester have got perfect rotation. Yes, obviously the home and away fixtures, but they were quite easy fixtures. And obviously you'd have Kepa now, who's 4.4, I think, or he's gone up to 4.5, and then Emerson at 4.5. So yeah,
XG, Vardy, Mavididi, Jordan Ayew, legend, and Wout Faes. And then you've got, in terms of expected assists, they've got Mavididi right at the top, and then Fatawu as well. Six appearances, three off the bench. And Ndidi, who's somehow got 4 assists this season. So, 5 mil, maybe. Feels a bit weird. He did obviously get an own goal that game, but there you go. Ipswich, Baz. Let's talk about the other team that got promoted alongside Southampton, obviously. You've got points at the top here. Mr. Delap, 5.6 mil, 25 points so far this season, 3 goals in 6 matches. What do we think as a third striker option?
I like it a lot, to be honest. He's in that bracket with Raul Jimenez as well, isn't he? So he's just gone up in value at 5.6. I picked him in a differential draft last week, and I picked James Dustin the week before. And Scott joked he's going to score 2 goals and all this, and he doesn't score 2 goals against Arsenal. But
Yeah.
week late on that one. Well, we're never going to pick him against Arsenal, but yeah, for me. I do like Delap. He obviously bullied Diego Carlos and
Yeah, big that.
he took both of his goals really well. And definitely would be one of them cheap options if you want to obviously get free premium players in your team and obviously maybe downgrade Wood, or if you've got João Pedro still, maybe there's your option there to get the lap in for me. And even if you've still got Whistler in your team, the lap as well. So yeah, I think with the fixtures going forward as well, I think he's definitely someone to look for. And another player that I've liked as well for Ipswich, they brought in was Jack Clark. I think came through him. He looked like Grealish has been when he played for Villa. Everything came through him. He it was just it was good to watch, to be honest. He passed the eye test as Scott mentioned. So yeah, they were the two that were on my list regarding that. So yeah. And then you've still got the 4 million defenders as well for Ipswich as well.
For the results as well. So let's just have a quick note on the results for Ipswich. 4 draws in a row now. So the only 2 games they've lost all season is Liverpool at home and City away. They've got 4 draws, 1-1 with Fulham at home. They drew 0-0 with Brighton away. which is a really good result.
Mhm.
They drew 1-1 with Southampton, and they'll be frustrated they didn't win that game of football.
Yeah.
Um, and they drew 2-2 at home to a fantastic Aston Villa side. So we've got to realise, I think, here with this team that they are in a decent little vein of form for a recently promoted side. And with the four fixtures they've got coming up with West Ham away, Everton at home, Brentford away, and Leicester at home, they
Even
really, really need to get a couple of
even
wins.
after Spurs away, they've still got some decent ones. Man United at home, they'll give
Oh,
them a good game, especially with that. And then Forest, Palace, Bournemouth, Wolves,
yeah.
some great
Oh, yeah.
fixtures going on.
I look at that team and I think, all right, you've got very highly likely Delap's going to be a great option as a third forward, without a doubt. Especially with the wild card this week or next week, or just a general transfer in. I brought him in draft, my draft team. I brought him in last week and he was my first sub against Villa. That was great. Sat there on the bench with 12 points. Never mind. But he's done really well there. And another player, we have to mention Leif Davis because he's got one assist so far this season. In terms of his points returns, they've not quite been there yet. But when you have a look at the player that the statistics, I should say, and also at the eye test, he's top for assists, expected assists. He's got double the next with Morsey, 1.01, and his expected goal involvement is top out of any Ipswich player. At 4.5 million as well, you've got a player like him, a player like Justin. Look, I'm not telling you to heavily invest in recently promoted clubs defenders because that is just not a good move. They've got one clean sheet all season between them. But if you are looking to just go for a rotation across the back and you're looking to not invest in anybody outside of probably Gabriel and then the rest all be cheap, Davis, Justin, they're not bad options, are they, Baz? I
Yeah,
mean,
not
I know you're
bad.
gonna do a piece of this next
Yeah,
week, but
the problem you've got is there's a lot of 4.5 million options out there in defenders. But like I say, I think it's the old fashioned rule with FPL. Don't pick centre halves unless they like Gabriel and look very aerial, got a massive aerial threat. Go for your fullbacks. Go for people that look attacking, going to get you assists because clean sheets now are very hard to come by unless obviously it's Arsenal.
it's true. I mean, they conceded two to Leicester that one week. It can even go that way, Kai, with that one. Just want to as well touch on Man City because they've got a fantastic run of fixtures coming up. Um, what? Who else do you buy outside of Haaland, Baz? So let me just read
I'm not
there
saying it. I'm not saying it. I'm
let
not
me
saying it's not in it.
Foden. Let me just read these numbers that are on the screen right now for podcast listeners. So Haaland, 65 points so far this season. Bosh. Unbelievable. The next best is Guardiola with 22. Then Edison's 21 at 5.5 million goalkeeper. Equal with Kovacic, 5.5 million midfielder. Then it's Bernardo with 19 points. Savio the same. And then you've got your De Bruyne with 18. I mean, if you'd have told me Haaland would be the top scoring player, obvious. Then it'd be Guardiola. Yeah, to be fair, would have been against that.
How he finished last season. Yeah, you'd expect that around there.
Exactly. Edison, Kovacic, Bernardo, Savio. No. Just do you buy anybody else, Baz? Even if you wild card him. We were talking about trying to get maybe two or three City in.
As as you mentioned, 4.7 Lewis. He got man of the match, didn't he, against Slavian Bratislava, but I think I might have had a chance of getting man of the match against them, especially playing for City. So yeah, it's 4.7 to have a starting uh defender for Man City, and he's attacking minded, and Rodri's injured, so he could play midfield. I think he'll be definitely someone to jump on. Obviously this Foden as well. He scored midweek. Another one that I'm going to mention in my one week punts. Gundogan.
Yeah.
He's 0.5% owned. He has been playing in the behind the striker role. He did that for Germany and he did it very well in the Euro. So at 0.5, it could be a stroke of luck, or you could say it's genius, whatever you want to call it. I think it's
Mm.
worth definitely a 1 week punt.
Got someone like Grealish started last week, got an assist. Maybe someone like him, maybe as a 1 week punt.
The thing is, it's pep roulette, in it. You don't know what's going to happen. Obviously the starters are going to be that are nailed
Yeah,
on. Bernardo's nailed on at the moment for starting, but then he'll
it's
turn around.
true.
He'll probably not play. He'll probably not play a weekend. That's
Bernardo didn't start against Brentford, which was the random one, but
yeah.
he's not missed a minute other than the Brentford game.
So
I think the tricky thing with City as well that I will say is that a lot of the time then they do come off the bench and annoy you with a point. Here, I feel like with the rotation, they still seem to like get appearance points. I mean, if we scroll all the way down to Phil Foden, who's got 3 points so far in this FPL season, they've all been like coming off the bench. I mean, he was ill for these, wasn't he? When you went to his house to try to find him.
yeah,
But even when he's on the bench, he seems to come off the bench for like 20 minutes. It's just annoying. You can't, you want to invest in these players. You want to, because they're going to they know you're going to palm here 1 week. It's 20 points. You know they're going
yeah.
to do it. But
On
you
that,
just,
when I went round to his house, I've got now actually a restraining order against him, so I can't be a certain distance away. So Lois sent it through to me.
yeah, that's what I've got about Bruno when he got sent off. When I first saw him kick Madison, I was like, he's no captain of ours. He needs to get rid. And then I saw the replay and I was like, ah. Anyway, Stones, Gundogan, Walker, yeah, blah blah blah. The rest of these, whatever. I think you just even if you wildcard, you just have Haaland. I just can't see being able to get just have anybody else in your team. I wouldn't have anybody else. They kept one clean sheet this season, City, and it was against Chelsea in the first game of the season.
And that's always the case
Like,
if you're near enough, isn't it?
well, except for the 4-3 or whatever it was, 4-4 last season. But yeah, total points now it's Haaland, Palmer, Salah, and then Diaz right there, and Bumo just behind him. Look at Nick Jackson there as well. Well done to Nick Jackson. He's doing pretty well. Let's have a quick look as well at the rest of these fixtures, and we'll go on to the FDR here, shall we? And have a look at some other teams. Arsenal, Southampton at home, and then Bournemouth away. Yeah, I mean, look, we said it last week. Martinelli and Trossard, they're the people to invest in. Yeah, it's best punts, and they both delivered. And no doubt they'll both play again this week, coming against Southampton, and again they'll deliver. I'd have thought in that team against Southampton. I mean, it's we'll see what happens, but yeah, I
They were
think they'll.
so bad against Bournemouth. They started really well as well. First 10 minutes for Southampton looked decent, and then to the usual Southampton playing about round the back, got caught so many times and got toward a new one. And lack of concentration for the goal. Tavernier pings it into Evan Nielsen, and he's finally scored from a draft team.
Yeah, he done well for you at the end of the day. Finally, yeah, the 1 week punts. I mean, well, let's talk about them as we're going through this, shall we, Baz? Because you probably have a couple of them as I'm talking about the teams.
Yeah.
Um, Bournemouth. I mean, Semenya, or would you ever look at Evan Nilsson as a 1 week punt on these, or any of the Bournemouth players for Leicester away, or
Yeah, you could
would
look
you
at
not look at them?
obviously Tavernier, as I mentioned in my draft.
Yes.
He's obviously, yes, he's zero point 0.1 or zero point 0.2 behind Semenyo now, but it's differential. Semenyo's owned quite highly. I think Tavernier's still under 1%. Evan Nilsson's still under 1%. So they could be nice little differentials for you. So yeah, so they could be a very good option for you. Defensively, I'm
Nice.
not too convinced on that, even though you'll see him a differential draft. But yeah,
Brentford Wolves at home. That's definitely a fixture to target, obviously in Boomos and Boomo. But I just can't see anybody else at Brentford to invest in, though. Really. But what about yourself?
you know what I'm going to say, don't you? My under one shout,
I do
Cavalio.
know you're going to say Cavalier. You love the
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, 4.8%. He's in that bracket where there is hardly anyone. It's usually like 5.5%, 5.5 million m- up between 6.5 and 5.5. There's quite a lot of people in there, but under 5 million, you're struggling. You've probably got Diblin at 4.6 now, and
Yeah.
Cavalio. They're your attacking ones. All your other ones in that bracket are like defensive minded players. So for me, Cavalio starts up front with with Mbumo, and they've got a
I don't
good
know.
working relationship between them two. So for me, 1.1% now owned at 4.8
Mm.
million. Have a little punt.
I like the price bracket. I think that's what I'll say about him. I totally agree with you on that point. I think under 5 mil, very affordable. He could be a good enabler if, let's say, you've got two free transfers and you might want to try and make a move for someone a bit more expensive this week or whatever. And but yeah, I like him as a punt at that price. I think that's a good idea. Chelsea's the usual. I mean, we'll have a look at Scott's 3 week punt pick of Sancho in a minute, I'm sure. But it seems like they've got a nailed front four. Was it yours, Sancho? Of course, Scott was invested in Everton, wasn't he?
Yeah, they
Sorry,
didn't
yeah,
realize
yours
it
was
was a
Sancho.
thing, and obviously got bumbled with Calvert-Lewin and McNeil. But obviously, it's McNeil
Yeah,
versus Sancho at the moment between them pair.
no, it is. We'll do that as the next feature. We've done Ipswich, we've done Leicester, we've done City. Spurs. Anyone there? I mean, Brennan's on form, is he? Your boy.
He is on form, and Kulusevski looked really well as well, created a lot of chances. Madison's gone off the ball, to be honest, on that one. Even 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 Timo Werner looked in spells, but I wouldn't obviously
Oh,
go crazy with
oh,
him. I don't know, that's
no.
because Manu was so bad and Werner looked good. It was just his end product that was bad. But yeah, for me, Kulusevski or Johnson, they both look really good. Solanke as well. Obviously
Yeah, yeah.
took his goal
Good
well.
shout.
So yeah, so any of them three would be really good. And even if you've got defensive problems, Van der Ven's still relevantly cheap.
4.5, yeah.
Yeah,
Great. I said Van der Ven at the beginning of the season. He was nearly in my team. He was one of the players on the periphery of who I was going to put in and who I wasn't. It was if I went one cheaper, option at the back who was going to start most games, it was basically him or Porro, and I could afford Porro, so obviously I went for Pedro Porro for his attacking returns, and spent the extra £1 million. But no, I totally agree. I like him as a pick. He always looks capable going forward. And I think Brennan Johnson, 6.4 million is not exactly the cheapest in the world, but he's only 1.6% owned. And, I think if I'm going to have, we're talking about a punt. If I hadn't have got, we'll obviously differential draft in a minute. If I hadn't have got Solanke in differential draft, I was putting Johnson in. So it was going to be if I wanted a Spurs asset, and I think that was where I was going with that. But I only wanted one for Brighton away. Didn't want two.
mm.
Um, yeah, totally agree with those shouts. West Ham now. What what's going? Let's not. We're not talking about this for ages, but what's going on there? I don't. Ipswich at home is a fantastic fixture, but Ipswich have got to be looking at that game and really fancying the chances, haven't they?
Well, 100%, especially how they played against Villa as well. Obviously, they went 1-0 up, and then obviously went going to look like they were going to lose the game 2-1, and Aston Villa were cruising, and then come back and drew 2-2. So, and how West Ham are defending at the moment in midweek in the Carabao Cup and also against Chelsea, it's like well, you can get two or three here, Ipswich. So yeah, but still, you don't know West Ham. You've got Bowen there, who's at 5.5% owned. Who would have thought that Jared Bowen being that low, especially from last season, he was quite highly owned, and it's 7.4 million, so he is quite high on the brackets, and there is a lot of midfielders around that area. But it's a 1 week punt, Ipswich at home. Can West Ham turn it on, especially with the London derby, after the international break against Tottenham? So for me, I fancy a West Ham player there, and it was too high on the ownership for me to get him the differential draft because I don't like getting over five, and I went for most random one, but he does pass the eye test. I went for kudos.
He does pass the eye test, to be fair, and he did really well at the end of last season. Do you know what? I'm going to go random one this season. Souček.
Yeah,
He scored twice already. You know what he's like from a couple of seasons ago in FPL. If you were playing it maybe 3 years back, he was just he bang. Was it 2 or 3 years back? He just went through a phase of absolutely banging in the goals, and he showed he could do it this year. He's getting forward when he's playing next to Alvarez and the other lad that they've signed. Um, yeah,
Rodriguez. Yeah,
Rand, yeah,
but
Rodriguez. That's the
Rodriguez
one.
got sent off as well, so I think he's banned, isn't he? So
I don't
yeah,
know. Is he
so
banned this week? Because I know he'd have served a suspension. Anyway, I think we're looking at that as an option. And then Baz, finally Wolves, Brentford away. Anyone from there? Maybe an eight Nuri, maybe, or is that touching a nerve?
Yeah, well, yeah, it is. I had the decision of three defenders at 4.4 million, Emerson, Ain't Nori, or Alex Moreno. And obviously, I went for Emerson, and he got subbed at half time and he got booked. So yeah, so I got 0 points for my -8.
Mm,
Yeah.
well done.
So yeah. So for me, Cunha's look really good. Another one that's actually on my radar that I'm going to touch upon next week is Bellegarde. He looks really
Mm.
good at 5 million. So yeah, so for me, I think Cunha, Bellegarde, even Larson as well as centre forward. I think he gets some chances, an old-fashioned centre forward. So yeah, so for me, I think they're the three
Playing
to
with
look.
playing with Cunha as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's not. I thought it'd be one or the other maybe, but he's playing with him, and I can see it's good. I think of those teams as well, we have to just say I think maybe some of the Spurs assets could be held a little bit longer term. When you have a look at we're talking about 1 week punts, obviously there, I think they're the team you could hold them a little bit longer. No need for Brentford as well. They could definitely be held longer if you're thinking of Mbeumo this week. Trying to get him in. There's nothing wrong with that. Carvalho maybe becoming your fifth midfielder as well, as an enabler. Yeah, don't mind any of those
There's
shouts.
there's a debate I've got, and maybe some people might have this decision is they've got Conser or a Newcastle assets in defence.
Mm.
Who would you potentially look at? Keep Conser in and Manu at home, or would you have Everton away for Newcastle? I think yeah, it's quite a decision. There's a few people deciding about shall I start Wood over one like Aston Villa player like Rodgers or something like that.
Yeah, as the rotation. Yeah, well, the Wood over Rodgers is Chelsea away for Forest. I mean, I think when I look at someone like Rodgers, I think he looks really good this year. And they play Manu at home. I mean, I still think that'll be high scoring that game. I think it will probably be a 2-2 or a 3-2 Villa or something along those lines. I think it'll be a high scoring match. So I wouldn't be looking at a Villa defender not playing XG United anyway. So I wouldn't be looking at a Villa defender, I don't think, in that game. I'd be more likely to start my Newcastle one. And then yeah, probably start Rodgers. I think United will probably concede in the game. So yeah, at a start. Rodgers and Burn over a Conser and a Wood. But, I'm doing rubbish this year, so let's see.
I
Yeah,
just want to take your take on it, and I think I'm starting actually Conser as well because he's playing right back. But it all depends on obviously the fixture tonight. How long is he going to play against
this, well,
Bayern
this is
Munich?
this is
So,
what we talked about Nedeljkovic, though, didn't we, at right back? And we
mm,
talked about this, didn't we? I thought he'd end up starting him at right back in the end, with Conser, Torres, and
Carlos,
yeah, and Carlos and Digne.
yeah,
Or Matson, of course. But yeah, it just felt like he played in there last season, Emery. So it's just why, again, that's just one of those moments, isn't it, where you jump on the 4 mil who goes in. Yeah, it's fine for a 1 week punt, obviously, and it's not a problem with any of that. But they will do you longer term. They will cost you a transfer in future. Going for those players. So it's just one of them classic things, I think. Let's do our the 1 week, the 3 week gamble. Let's touch on this briefly. We've talked about Sancho Baz.
yeah.
Seems to be nailed down on the left hand side for Chelsea.
Yeah,
Seems
he
to
is,
look
and he's
solid
flying up
player.
in ownership as well since his 0 point since my 0.7. Now 2.3% owned.
He scored,
Um,
didn't he? But it was ruled out again
yeah, and
against
obviously he got
Leicester.
got another
No, Leicester
assist as
Brighton.
well. So yeah, Calvert-Lewin's flown up as well. He's nearly double. He's at 6.1% owned, and McNeil is absolute rocketed. He's 5.2% owned.
Yeah, I brought him
And
into
why
it as
not?
well.
Why not with Everton's fixtures? Yeah, Newcastle at home, but Newcastle looked shaky. Only just managed to beat Wickham the other day 1-0. So yeah, it's worth a shot. And then Szoboszlai, I think that was a really bad shout because he's not gone to it how he started last season. He can get up and down, but he's not as creative as he has been. I don't know if that's because the pivots of McAllister and Gravenberch, but yeah,
Uh,
he's gone down to like 2.2% now. But
Weird
yeah,
player in Isabosly. Just a weird player, like, because he's
yeah.
obviously class, but I just feel like Liverpool aren't getting the best out of him.
I
And I just don't
think
think he fits into their system at all. I just
yeah,
feels that way anyway, because he's obviously a really good player.
and he likes to be the big man, and unfortunately, he's not going to be the big man when Salah and other players
Yeah,
around like Diaz as well are performing. It's quite difficult to be that number one performing player because that's what he was like at Hungary and that's what he was like at Leipzig. So yeah, and then obviously Somerville and Ramsey for you. Ramsey's obviously just playing, not really doing much. And Somerville is just just bad. He's gone down as well to zero point 0.4 now. So yeah, it's
yeah,
not good on
bad
your
shout on the
points, mate.
summer.
Quite as
No, I
good as
mean,
season.
yeah, about as good as my season. Surprised on Ramsey. I mean, Somerville was an outside shot anyway.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised on Ramsey. Like I thought he'd do better than this. And Calvert-Lewin only on 3 points. It's quite unlucky for Scotty actually. I thought he'd do better than that. McNeil's, he looked all right. Calvert, they've looked all right going forward. Weird Everton, Dyche team. They looked all right going
Well,
forward.
might be
Pretty bad at the
slightly different
back.
now. Bramthwaite's back now, isn't he? So Everton might be solid up. So if you've got Mikalenko at 4.3 million, yeah, he's
Yeah,
definitely worth keeping,
we've
especially
got
with
another player there. I mean, the thing, we've got another player there, haven't we? Rotation, defender, cheap. It's that they're all there's so many options there at wing back. But let's do a differential draft and let's we've already done it because Scott's not here this week. But let's review the points. Scott got 31 points. Well done, Scott. Timber, Martinelli, Sancho, Calvert-Lewin, and Kepa. So Martinelli obviously being the great shout there. Sancho with 9 points as well. Barry, you came second. Tavernier and Evan Nilsson finally delivering. Carvalho as well with an assist. Kelleher didn't even play for you, so you only have four players play.
Hmm.
Kirkes with 1 point. Um, and let's just not bother with mine. I got 12 points. Bailey got an assist. Well done. Hudson-Odoi didn't start, came on for 1 point. Wood got 2 points. I think he got a goal ruled out for offside or something. Probably did. Zabrani with 2 points, whatever. Annoyingly got loss of a clean sheet with a one goal for Southampton. And Sells, which I didn't want him anyway, really, to be honest. I'd have
Yeah,
actually picked I'd have picked Keller over Sells, and he didn't even play. So just I was lucky to get 2 points, Baz. I think out of that,
yeah,
I'll take that as lucky to get two. Um, Teams for this week. Do you want to run through them?
yeah, can do. So the A1 is Scott's. So Scott obviously has gone really strong as well. In his, he's got Edison for his under 10. He's got Timber again. He's liking his favourite. He's gone Mavididi, who's had a few times. Trossard, who's obviously performing really well, apart from his red card. And then obviously he's gone for Cunha, who we talked about in the 1 week punts. Scott, you going to go through yours or?
Yeah, no, I'll do it. Hermanson in goal. Happy with him. Bournemouth at home. I think, like I said, save points in every game so far this year, other than one. Hoping to maybe get 2 points and maybe a save point as well. A clean sheet would be a lovely bonus, but I think he's probably a 3 point man in that game. I'd have thought, but I'd be happy with 3 points if someone offered me it now. Calafiori at the back, I think with White being out, it seems pretty nailed. I don't know. Did White feature against PSG yesterday? I don't know if he did or not. I should probably check that before I made that statement. We did this pick before the PSG
He
game.
is flagged though, isn't he? So I don't think he is.
Yeah, he is flagged. I will check whilst you're going through your team about whether he featured or not. But Calafiori, happy to have. I think he's playing left back. I think he looked quite dangerous as well from corners. I've got Scott's midfield of last week, Sancho and Martinelli, exactly the same two players. And then Dominic Solanke up top. I'm really happy with my team this week, actually. Last week I was a bit borderline on it, but this week, yeah, I really like my team, and I really like Scott's actually as well. I think there's some really good punts in there, and I really like your team, Baz, except for Kudus.
Yeah.
I do.
Well,
I think the rest of it looks class. If you want to run through yours.
but for me, mine's definitely like a 1 week punt. To be honest, I've obviously gone Kepper in goal, 0.7% owned. Same again for you with what Alex mentioned about Hermanson. Um, I think it's potentially going to be a free points on him if we get a clean sheet bonus. Lewis Hall, attacking fullback. Hopefully he starts. He started in the last couple, so I took a gamble on him. Everton away, thinking obviously about their frailties at the back, so potential assists there. Gambled on Kudus because obviously he passes the eye test and he was 4.5%, and then I didn't want to go for the Bowen because I don't like an under 10. Barnes has done really well. Looked really good since he's
Yeah,
come off the
agreed.
bench and also started. Comes off that left very well. He's potentially affected Gordon though, Gordon owners because of that, because Gordon likes playing down the left. and he's gone, yeah, I'll play on the right. And unlike what Rashford's done, he's actually gone, I'm doing something for the team. And then I've gone for Delap after he bullied Diego Carlos, and I thought let's stick him in. Hopefully, he can bully Mavropanos and Kilman. So worth a shot. I thought he's definitely looking a handful for most defenders.
Yeah, I think we had quite a lot of options this week, didn't we? I think differential draft. It felt like we could have picked. There's a few other players as well out there that we could have put in this
Like
team, and
Gundogan, for example.
yeah, Gundogan. I
He
thought
was
Brennan
he was a
Johnson's got to
shout.
be there. Kulusevski, Madison. I think Brennan's obviously the top choice out of those three guys for Spurs. But you look at all of these sorts of numbers. There were definite options out there for other players to go in. I mean, yeah, but this all good, all good. Let's do captains this week before we wrap up.
Do
Uh,
you know my captain matrix?
I didn't. I thought we were going to do that next week. We don't.
I
We
know,
don't.
but
I
I've
didn't.
game week 7 on it. Yeah, so we'll touch
I
upon
just
that. So just ignore that because it did circle the game week 7 punt on maybe
for the
triple
triple
captain
captain.
Saka.
You did,
Uh,
yeah. Sorry, Baz has done some really good graphics actually, and I'm really looking forward to doing the pre wildcard podcast. It probably won't be next week; it'll probably be the week after because of the international break. But really looking forward to going through that one, Baz. I think we've got some really good graphics on rotations and captain matrices all the way up till Christmas. So we've got a bit of a long view pod coming up, which I'm really looking forward to doing. So, but yeah, Baz, you highlighted potentially a Saka triple captain this week on Southampton. Deadline 11 o'clock, Saturday, the 5th of October. Early kickoff, Palace Southampton at Selhurst Park. Arsenal Southampton, Brentford Wolves, Leicester Bournemouth, Man City Fulham, West Ham Ipswich, and Everton Newcastle being the evening kickoff. Then we've got Villa United at 2 o'clock, Chelsea Forest, and Brighton Spurs to wrap up before the international break at the Amex. So, yeah, captains this week. Obviously, I think there's plenty of options. Yeah, Saka was an option as well. You can't, Haaland's got to be an option. Someone like Salah. I mean, I think it's going to be quite. I mean, Palmer, obviously, Forest at home again as well. I think we're going to have a heavy Haaland captaincy, but if you've got Palmer as a differential or Saka, do you think it's a worthwhile differential to the 73 point something percent owned Haaland, who'll be predominantly captain? Obviously Saka was somebody you like the look of.
yeah, obviously he takes set pieces on the I think it's the right hand side and kills it in with his left, whereas Rice takes them on the other side. Of everything good comes from him. He was so unlucky not to get a lot of more points than he did against Leicester. He did have 3 points, and then they took 2 bonus points off him to all the Saka captaincy owners on that one.
Yeah,
Another shout. You could call me crazy, or you could say I'm copying Judith from last week.
nice, good
And
shout.
Bumo.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Well, you'll find out the first minute of the game.
Yeah,
Because that's when they
don't
score.
do anything after that.
No, Judith put me in well. Shout out to Judith as well for listening to this with Scotty, and enjoying holiday. And I hope you're having a lovely trip, a lovely celebration. But yeah, look, why not? There's a shout. He's the fifth highest scoring player, I think, in the game so far this season. Why not a Boomer? He's scored more points than Saka has this year, so
And, and I don't
why
know,
not?
maybe Watkins against Man U. I know obviously your thoughts on that one,
Sure,
but
Baz. No.
but how bad Man U are at the moment defensively could be
Uh,
worth a shot.
yeah, maybe. I mean, he probably scores, doesn't he?
But
Uh,
the main two are Haaland and Saka. I think they're going to
yeah,
be.
and I throw Palmer in there as well. At
Yeah,
home to Forest on the form he's in. Again, I don't think any of them are a mistake. Like we had this last week, sorry, and I was talking about it. I want to just I'll have a quick look as well at the points predictions for the week.
um,
When you're looking at game weeks, sorry, my boss.
shall I do the wheel again on my captaincy after he screwed me over with the Saka captaincy over Watkins and Salah? Am I going to bring it back out again?
Well, 8.8 predicted points for Haaland, 7.8 for Palmer, 7.5 for Saka. They're the top, and 7.3 for Salah. They're the top predicted points again for this week. AI says Haaland. Yeah, when you're looking at Palmer and Saka as well, they've got to be right up there as options. Like if you we'll just see so many Haalands this week. He's going to be the overwhelming captain. So we'll see. I wanted to wrap up on AI transfers. It says bank it this week. Literally says don't do anything. It doesn't even recommend any transfers for the pod team.
Okay.
And unfortunately, at the moment, we're just yeah, we're not. We're just, it's just ticking along. I mean, the AI's not doing so well. I mean, the team rating for this week is 97%. Game week, sorry, team rating for the next 3 weeks is 97. Game week is at 96, and yeah, it's got Haaland captain, Saka, Havertz, Wood, Jota, Rogers, Eze, Trent, Guardiola, Gabriel, and Martinez.
I
So
hasn't told you to transfer Eze out, to be honest.
it's predicted points at 6.1, 5.8, and 6.5. I mean, I think the problem is with Eze is he's XG Eze in a this season.
Should play for Man
He,
U.
he could. He's basically doing it. I mean, when you look at his numbers, I think is it going to tell me in terms of his Opta stats so far this season? Yeah, his points average 3.5. Oh, I've taken it off. Never mind. 3.5 again. But yeah, his XG is just silly high. Or his XGI is, yeah, silly high. And he's just not delivering the numbers. But never mind. That's why the AI sometimes isn't the way to go. But there you are. Yeah, let's wrap up there this week, shall we? Baz, I think we've done about an hour there, so
Yeah.
we'll wrap it up. Thank you ever so much for everyone for joining us this week. Don't forget to like the video on YouTube. Give us more likes, get it shared, share it with your pals, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to give us 5 stars where you get your podcast from. Click the like on, click the bell, get your notifications when it comes through, and follow us on our social media platforms: Audible Pod, Audible P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And also join the Fantasy Premier League group that Baz is a admin of on Facebook, and he does post our podcast on there and also some of our graphics. And yeah, good luck to the lads who have started their podcast on there as well, the FPL Affair. So hopefully they do really well and enjoy that. Barry, goodbye from me. Goodbye from you.
Goodbye for me, and thank you very much.
So good luck in game week 7. Green arrows all around. Bye for now.